to help us unpack practical ways that consumers can make better, or rather take better control of their finances. We are now joined by Ester Ochse, who is a product head of integrated advice at FNB. Thank you so much for joining us on First Class Africa, Ester.
Awesome to be here. Good afternoon to you and to all your viewers.
All right, let's begin right here now. Many South Africans feel like their salaries simply don't last until month end. And I know about that. And you know, the scariest part is just how short term it lasts. It's not even halfway through. It's like a few days. What are some of the biggest reasons behind this?
Yeah, so look, it's very common that there's lots of month left after the money every month, and that's why we're having this chat as well. What are some of the quick wins that you can do? Now, the big contributing factors to that, of course, are those really big things. It's debit orders that goes with, it's transport costs. And we know with things like interest rates that have gone up in the last couple of months, luckily we had a bit of a reprieve in South Africa recently that we've kept flat. Fuel prices have gone up. That's due to the international oil price as well. So there's lots of pressure on the consumer at this moment in time. And of course, there's other essential spends that have gone up as well because inflation is going up. So those are pretty much the big things. And that's why it is a time that, you know, the viewers do need to come and they do need to get back to basics and see how they can get themselves out of this little bit of a conundrum.
Yeah. So then why is it important to plan spending beyond the first week of the month? I mean, I think I know why. So that you don't have stress, so that you can sleep better, and that you don't need to add extra 2,000. That is like living beyond your means.
Yeah. So I mean, financial stress is one of the major reasons why people tend to keep up at night. And if you can sort that out very early in the month, I know it's going to help you have a better month. It's going to help you get through the month easier without that constant pressure of worrying about money at all. And, you know, it's good old-fashioned, and I hate the word budgeting. Getting back to basics, having a look at where your money is going and how you plan it out. And this week, and I mean, we're getting into the week of the 25th of the month or the 26th of the month, you know, potentially into the 30th of the month, is maybe a good time to sit down and reassess your finances and see where you can make those small tweaks to set yourself up for a proper financial future.
Yeah. And everyday expenses such as takeaways, delivery fees, and impulse purchases seem small. How much of an impact do these have on our lives? Because I tend to, when I'm bored, I tend to go to apps. That messes up my budget. These apps, it's tough to stay away from these apps.
and let me tell you this is I'm supposed to be the money management guru, and it catches me as well. So you know,
it's such a relief to know. Hey.
Look, I went into a grocery store the other day, and all I needed to buy was bread and milk, and I walked out with 2 bags full of stuff because things started jumping into my trolley. And what I'd like to suggest to the viewers is really regroup. So there's a couple of ways that you can do this. Is have a look and say, okay, over a month, for the next month or so, I'm going to properly reflect on how I spend my money. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can use the apps that are available, like Track My Spend that's available in the FNB app. Or alternatively, you can do it the good old-fashioned way, spreadsheet or even a pen and paper, and really make a note of every time you spend money, be it $5, $10, $100, $50, whatever it is. Make a note of that. And that's when you're going to start realizing when this unconscious spend is. And if you get triggered by certain things like the apps, you know, maybe bury them quite deeply in your sort of that it's not easy to get hold of. But anyway, once you've tracked that spend over a period of the month, you're going to see where are some of the things that you can tweak. So is it takeaways? Now, I mean, you spending, if you say, for example, spending $150 3 times a week on takeaways, that's $450 a week. That's almost $1,800 a month that you're spending on takeaways. Now, at FNB, we're not the fun police. We're not saying that you mustn't spend money on takeouts and treats. But what we're saying is there a way that you can reduce some of that? And then once you've reduced some of that, so still have your takeaways, but maybe have it once a week and then potentially cook for the rest. And then that freed up cash flow that you've got, you can then put it up towards things that are going to help you for financial resilience. So things like paying off expensive unsecured debt, which is also something that could drain a person's budget very quickly. Or alternatively, start saving for an emergency, because we know that emergencies happen and you don't want to be in a position that an emergency happens and then you do need to take out expensive unsecured debt. So yeah, I've spoken a lot. Do you have any questions for me?
All right, we are talking to Ester Ochse, who is a product head of integrated advice at FNB. Let's take a break. When we come back, Esther, I want us to look at everyday expenses. We spoke about everyday expenses that do drain our money, but I want to actually, what I meant to say was, I want us to look at a savings buffer. Is it even possible in this account? And how much money should actually be in there, and how to use that little bit of money for nothing else but to buffer the situation? I'm still chilling with Ester Ochse, who is a product head of integrated advice at FNB, and we're looking at practical ways we can survive the salary that comes, waves, and says goodbye. Doesn't even stay for tea or anything like that. So as I want to look at the budget, right? Or rather, the savings account that's supposed to serve as a buffer. Is this even possible in this economy? Also, how much money should stay in there?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a common misconception that a person needs a lot of money to save for an emergency, and you can literally start from as little as R1 saving for an emergency. Now, before the break, we spoke of, yeah, literally R1. So before the break, what we spoke about looking at where your spending is going and reducing that. So literally, if you reduce, and using the example of takeouts again, if you reduce that to sort of once a week, you're saving quite a significant amount of money that you can start putting towards things like saving for an emergency. And then look at what your bank offers you. So something like Bank Your Change is absolutely awesome. So every time you swipe your debit card or credit card, it rounds it up to the closest R2, R5, R10 that can then go off into an emergency or into a savings account that you can use for an emergency. So, what is an emergency savings account? It's an account that you can get hold of the money like this, because you don't want to keep your emergency savings necessarily in a 32-day account, because I've never seen an emergency wait 32 days. But it is something that you want to just have that money available. Now, ideally, a person should have 1 month's worth of income available in an account like that. And I know that sounds like a lot, but it really does give a person peace of mind that if something happens, you have a burst tire, you have an unexpected medical bill, your child has an unexpected medical bill, that you've got this little bit of a almost buffer, as you call it, that you can go into to pay that. Because, everyone thinks that emergencies aren't going to happen. And I'm pretty sure if we had to go to your views and say, have you had an emergency or unexpected expense in the last 6 months, most of them are going to put up their hands and say, yes, it's me. And it could be something as simple as, a geyser burst, a tire burst, unexpected medical bill setting. So really be very intentional about building up that emergency buffer.
All right, Esther, lastly, as we wrap up this conversation, what are some of the simple budgeting strategies that people can implement immediately to improve their financial well-being? You spoke about swiping. That could be another way to cut back. The takeaways as well. But let's say then the money is not even enough for such things as takeaways,
Yes. So again, start looking at your budget very, very critically. So, ideally what you want to do is you want to obviously sort of prioritize things like your needs, so your rent, accommodation, all of that, and then everything else comes next. Just one thing in the needs, that saving, investing, and insurance is very important. That does go into the needs. You need to pay that before you pay the nice stuff, all of those other things. And then coming across, what's also quite nice is if you know that you're going to have an expense that's later in the month. So something like a bill that comes in. Sometimes you get paid on the 25th of the month, but you have a debit order that runs on the 1st of the month. It might be insurance or something like that. Just remember to keep money aside for that, or keep money in your account so that can get paid off as well. And then something that's going back a couple of years which is quite nice, is it's an envelope, in inverted commas, an envelope system. Or say, okay, once my debit orders have run in this month, and I've got X amount of rand left, I'm going to allocate that for each week. So in this week, I'm going to use sort of $500, $500, $500. And if that money's up in that month or that week, then you leave that there as well. We spoke about tracking your expenses, which is pretty good. And then just another thing that I really do need to say to the viewers is be cautious of using very short-term debt in order to get through the month, or using short-term debt to get through the month, because that could be a downward spiral. So, I'm not saying the debt's bad. The right debt at the right time is a very good thing. But, using your debt to actually get through the month to sustain your lifestyle is something that you need to be, cognizant of and just be aware of and try and reduce your reliance on that. But again, just to the viewers that's out there, this is not everything has to be sorted out immediately. You got to wake up on the 1st of August and everything has to be sorted out. It's small, consistent steps that's going to get you out. So look at where you can reduce money. Start saving for an emergency. Start putting and paying off your expensive type debt. And literally, you can make massive changes from sort of $100, $200 a month. But it's consistency that's key.
Thank you for those tips, Esther. Let me release you so that you can Sunday in peace. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us on First Class Africa.